In this video we're going to take a look at the passive foundation and how we set this up, and we're going to also look at what's in the workbook and kind of look at some of the points that are not really making this workbook a passive foundation. So we've got a cold bridge running from inside to outside here, so obviously it's not going to be a passive foundation with that there. So taking a look at a few details here online, and we can see from the pictures here on the iPad, the first one showing cold bridges, but there's the EPS that's used here too as the formwork, the expanded polystyrene. The concrete is poured into this here, and it creates a kind of a cloak around the concrete and preventing the cold bridges. So you can see some of that there, and some details are shown here of EPS being used. And the one that we're focusing on is going to be a concrete built wall, which we see here, and you can see the cloak of the EPS at the very bottom here. There's some hardcore fill EPS and layers, permanent form around there, which we looked at there just before that. I've done a quick sketch here to show this, and colours are going to be quite useful in doing this drawing. So we can see the foundation, which is slightly off centre there for the support of the external wall. That can be formed from the inside with the EPS, and then the outside there would be hardcore. You'll be looking at a depth of that there somewhere between 100 and 300, so I'm going to pick 200, and what I'm showing here is the line here of the 200 cavity fill is in line with the inside edge of that foundation, and we have a 100mm insulated block as well that's used here. Quinlite is the brand that we'll be looking at. Basically it's just a block with insulation in that, and the size is increased as well too, to just increase its strength as well. We can see here I'd like to keep the ground line somewhere in line with the radon as well, and this is the EPS here that we see at the bottom as well too. So roughly there's 300 underneath this here. Obviously there's the subsoil will have an impact on the design of the found as well, and the way it's done. There may be a need for filling underneath that there, compacted, depending on the soil type, I suppose. So anyway, to get started, we have to start here at the bottom. I'm going to start with drawing the foundation part that we were looking at for the external wall, and the sizes I'm using are 400 by 200, and the scale that we're using is 1:10. And this one, different to some of our other drawings, I'm going to use a block size, which is 225, and you can allow just a double line for where the mortar joint will be on that. And that's what I've used there, so 225 up to where the ground line is. And then I would need to come over my 200 for my cavity fill and the lining up of the EPS. So I've created this block, which is on the inside, and basically it's taken from 100 from the internal block, the inside of the external block, 100, and just they're lining up, matching up sizes in this here. So that's all that's done really with that. You can take a look back to the initial sketch for alignment details, and I've got a slab drawn here at 100 as well too. So the lines are important too for the former, which is used to create the ring beam, and these are reinforcing bars that have been placed in. Spacing I don't think is terribly important, so long as you don't go out close to the edge. You keep it back in 50 and something that looks quite even, because we wouldn't really be familiar with the exact building regulations and the sizes of the reinforcing bar, but we would, just by showing it's there, you're showing you understand that it is a requirement. Other details then, slightly different for the cavity fill. This time I'm not using their standard detail for that there, because it's a blown insulation is into that there, and the blue is showing the EPS, which is at the very bottom. Now it's at one point it's going to come up against a graded fill, so that has to be shown as well, and I kind of get away with a slightly green color here just to show the former of the insulation, which we looked at earlier. And I've got my concrete detail as well to use for the ring beam, the slab, and the foundation itself. Usual stuff that you can put in is your external render, the height of where the radon barrier DPC is. Make sure you line out all the little bits and different details and sizes. That external render could actually be changed as well too, to be a breathable render. The cavity 200 fill, the block 150, which has got an integrated insulation into that, and Other details then as we go around them here. You have a reinforced concrete slab, and the EPS, that would be the permanent form EPS, which creates the ring beam, and sometimes may be referred to as the concrete slab, which is reinforced as well too, but the ring beam would be a preferred name for that. And we have the EPS and the 100 layers in the blue below that, and it's to the side, and I'm just after writing where reinforced concrete found is, that one side of that there could be the compacted hardcore, and that's what I'm showing in the detail there. And just include your scale. I think I've left the scale out here, so a scale 1:10 again. And we can see that there's no thermal bridge,